Welcome to Business Amplified with host Kevin A. Dunlap.
This podcast is for small business owners aiming to amplify their enterprises.
Explore strategies to play a bigger game by becoming an author, public speaker, podcast host, or expanding your brand in other ways.
Elevate your business on Business Amplified.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome back to Business Amplified. Today, we're going to be having a guest on our show that's also in North Carolina. Now, he lives in an area known as Wilmington, North Carolina, which is a coastal town, and I lived there in the early 2000s. So we've had a pre-interview. We were building up some rapport, and I can't wait to actually interview this gentleman. His name is Paul Baron. So, Paul, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Kevin. It's a pleasure to be here. Appreciate you inviting me to talk with you and your audience.
Of course. So I always start off with asking this one question. Who are you? What is it you do? And why is it that you do it?
Well, who am I? Tough question. Paul was born at a very young age. No, we don't have to go back that far. What I'm doing today is I'm basically a serial entrepreneur. I've had over a dozen businesses throughout my career. The past few decades, I've developed a specialty for being able to take products that have been manufactured or developed outside of the United States, primarily in Europe, Asia, Russia, Southeast Asia, Middle East, and introducing their products or services into the United States to help them find their high-value audiences, strategic partners, vendors, manufacturing, whatever would take these companies to scale and possibly an exit or just increase revenue. And I've done that for about 4 decades, identifying innovative products and services and doing that. It's been very successful, hopefully for my customers as well as for myself.
How do you find these non-American products, and how do you introduce them into the American society so that the American society will actually want to use these products in their own daily lives?
Well, it's I guess I can describe how it started, how it evolved. I can't really identify as much as I'm very grateful that it has, but it started when I was invited to be a VP of sales for a company that was just coming out of the development stage of a communications device, a piece of hardware that was designed for recording calls and telecommunications. And this was back in the late 90s, early 2000s, so about 30 years ago. They asked me to head up the sales for a product that was coming out of the development cycle into the sales cycle to help them identify their customers. It was a product that warranted going to industry events, trade shows, a lot of traveling. I was living in Atlanta at the time. The only good thing about Atlanta, no offense to people who live there, it was a beautiful city. I was there for about 10 years. But the reason I was there was because it was one hop to anywhere from the airport there, pretty much so. Where I am in Wilmington today is anything but that. Wilmington is a destination. It's not someplace you travel through. So it's not so easy traveling. But anyway, back there, I was traveling. And on these trade shows, there was one company that was a Russian company that was very innovative, had not only a product very similar to what my company was promoting and developed, but also it was a product that, there was a company that had technology that was far deeper than what my company had. My company had just one simple product for this communications. This company had all kinds of video, audio, navigation system technologies way ahead of its time. And as a result of that, we came up against each other constantly, and as we did, we would become frenemies, if you will. And no comment on current politics aside, Russian people, like Chinese, Asian, Middle East, whatever, people generally are wonderful. It's the governments that screw everything up. So basically, we have a situation here where at the end of the day, we go out and we'd have a couple of cocktails. And on one such occasion, they looked at me and they said, "Hey, Paul, you just landed that big deal with Motorola. You and I both know that our product was much better than yours. How did you get that deal?" And I looked at them very frankly, again, I could be open and frank with them. I said, "Well, honestly, the reason is because you're Russian and I'm not. And again, that wasn't a disrespectful comment. It was a comment that basically made the observation that people like to do business with people that speak their language. And I don't mean just from a translation viewpoint, which is easily accomplished, but just because the nature of the culture, they understand a little bit better. Americans understand Americans, Russians understand Russians, French understand French. It's just the way it is, the way you're brought up and the way that your culture has evolved. And so to try to make this long story a little bit shorter, they made me an offer I couldn't refuse, and I went to work for them. And so that was a wonderful relationship that lasted 12 years to about 2010. Did a lot of good things for them, brought their company and some of their divisions to exit and acquisition, actually, by some American companies. All the video you see in Skype is video technology that was from this company that I licensed to Skype, to Microsoft that owns Skype. Every tune you hear in an iPad, iPod, iPhone is MP3 technology. It's called under the covers. That's this Russian technology that sits inside all these devices, GPS and Samsung devices. All of that I licensed to them, to these companies. So I did very well for them. But then China was coming up on the world stage, and that was in Moscow's backyard. So it was time for me to exit. That's when we moved from Atlanta to Wilmington, and I thought I'd retire. But now, apparently, during those 10 years, I developed a reputation of being able to take a foreign company's product into the US, finding the customers, helping that company that grow. So after that, there was an Israeli company, also with some technology solution, that asked me to come and represent them and introduce it to the US. That product, I told them right off the bat, I thought there was too much competition, wasn't very good. So I passed on that opportunity. But then there was a very innovative baby bottle from an Austrian company, and they approached me and they said, do you think you can introduce this to mothers and the world of pregnancy and baby products companies, children's products companies? And it was a very innovative design. Without getting into the details of it, I really liked it. I thought there was a place for it, and I helped that company grow until an American company actually acquired it. And then after that, there was a Chinese headband headphone. I don't know if your audience was able to catch one of my dogs that was going in the background a little while ago, but we are dog people. We weren't blessed with children of the two-legged variety, so ours are four-legged. So I'm always searching for anything related to dogs. And I came across this product. Actually, my wife came across it. It was a self-service dog wash. And I'd never seen anything like it. It was kind of one of these things, if you think of those old car washes where you drove your car in and you had a wand and you sprayed your car with water and then you put wax on it and then you dried it with towels. Very similar to that. 10 minutes, you wash your car by hand with these in this facility. It was very similar to that, except it was a self-contained product. Big product, weighed about 800 pounds. Your dog jumped into a platform, you washed it, you rinsed it. Great shampoo, great conditioner, a flea tick repellent, and then power dryers, just like your hairstylist would have. And for $10 in 10 minutes, your dog was clean and dry. Much better than what we've been battling with over the years in the showers and in our homes, which looked like an absolute bomb went off after washing one of these dogs. So I decided, I said, boy, that's the coolest thing I've ever seen. Never saw anything like it. And rather than companies approaching me, now I got into a phase where I was approaching a company. And so I reached out to the manufacturer in Australia, and I said to them, look, I've never seen your product before, saw it on the internet. What are you doing with this? Are you here in the United States? Can I buy one? Can I get into the business of this? And they said, no, we're not there yet. And I said, it's a big device. You can only bring 7 of them over in a container on a ship at a time. And it was just an expensive proposition. We decided not to do it. I said, well, I'd be interested. I said, why don't I see what I can do with it? So I bought the rights to the United States and Canada from the company, and I started distributing it, brought some into the United States. But I agreed with them. This was a product that really needed manufacturing in the United States. So after being very successful, selling them to places like pet stores and some community dog parks and gas stations, any place people would go with their dogs, I sold about 50 of these machines. They were about a $20,000 machine. And it was just an enjoyable experience. But then I identified a U.S. manufacturer because I felt they had to be manufactured here to become cost effective and to really scale the company the way I wanted it to, like to be able to sell it to 1,000 PetSmarts or Petgos or something, which was my vision for this company, was to do it by scale, not just one at a time. And so, so I found a manufacturer. They loved the product so much that they ended up buying the company, and that kind of put me out of a job because they had a sales team and everything else. So as a result of that, I'm not crying about it. I did very well by being bought out for it, but I couldn't realize the vision I had for the company. So then I developed an attitude that if I was ever going to do this again, which I was very happy, I was in my 60s now, very happy to retire. But if I was ever going to do something like this again, I wanted to own the company and own the product. Well, lo and behold, a few years later in 2016, I was approached by a German company that had this vertical printing machine. And they had sold one to somebody in Canada who was going to distribute it, but they wanted somebody to really help the company scale into the US, just like what I've done for several decades. And so I looked at it, I said, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen. It was this big, it was like a inkjet printer on steroids. It allowed you to print on any surface, any wall surface, indoors or outdoors, any size mural. It was just the coolest thing I've ever seen. Now, I have no real engineering background or artistic background or anything like that. I just think of myself as a general consumer. I kind of know what I like. And if I like something, maybe other people will like it too. But I do look for markets that have a gap, that have a real opportunity. And so I felt there were very few ways to put artwork on walls. You know, you could put a vinyl sticker, you could wallpaper something, you can get a muralist to hand draw something, or you can hang a picture, just like you have behind you. And so I said, yeah, this looks pretty interesting to me. I said, how much do you want for your company? And they said, no, Paul, that's not, we're looking for a salesman. We're looking for somebody to work on commission and bring this product to market. I said, well, I don't want to do that. I don't do that anymore. But if you're interested, I'd be interested in exploring the opportunity further, and I'd be happy to buy into your company. And they said, no, that's not available. So I said, okay. And I hung up and I said, well, that was interesting. That was good. But I thought the product was so cool. And so I called to my wife, and because I always like her buy-in and opinion on things, and whether we need it, but we all need it. If you're married, you understand what I'm saying in your audience. So I called to my wife and I say, hey, Maureen, come take a look at this product. And so usually she doesn't do that. What she does is she cuts up my credit cards and she changes the passwords on my bank account, because she goes, here we go, Paul's going to invest in something nuts again. And so this time she did take a look after my cajoling, and she said, boy, that's really cool. Do you think you can do anything with it? I said, yeah, I think I can. She said, go for it. So I got that buy-in. So I started doing my homework. I did the due diligence. I found out who else is doing this. Why haven't I seen anything like this? And I found out there literally a handful, 5 companies in the world that had this technology and were making a machine. The Germans actually copied from a Chinese company that was in the market 10 years already. And then there was another Chinese company that copied that Chinese company. The Chinese don't only copy us, they copy themselves too, when they see something that's pretty cool. And so, but it wasn't a printing company, it was something else, and they didn't have any engineering, no ability to improve on the product. And then there was a company in Australia that was venture-backed, didn't really have any product yet, they just had a website. And then there was an Indian company that had a very low quality kind of home hobby solution, not the kind of product I envisioned this to be, a commercial product that could help people get into the business of doing this wall printing. And so there were only 2 quality products out there: the original Chinese innovator and then the German company. The German company I couldn't become involved with, so I went to the originator and I said, what are you doing in the United States? And they said, well, no, it's a market we don't understand and we're not going there. I said, well, I'd like to buy in and take this to market in the United States. Again, fast forward, sorry if I'm being long-winded, but I'm trying to answer your question of how I got here. And this is now at the tail end where I am today. I ended up buying into the company. I'm a co-owner on several patents we have over the past 5 years that we've developed together. I own outright all rights to the Western Hemisphere. I take all business that comes for Canada, the United States, Mexico, South America, the Caribbean, and I service them from our Wilmington, North Carolina headquarters and warehouse. We can manufacture the machines if we want to, but the Chinese manufacturing is so cost effective, and the precision that they do things with this type of metal and steel. I'm not going to comment on everything made in China or made in Germany, but this product has the same materials and is manufactured to the same specifications as any product out there, including the German product. So it's a real quality product. And it had features that the German product did not have, which, as I did my due diligence, I said, you know, I wish it did this, I wish it did that. And this product doesn't do that. And so lo and behold, we developed a relationship that's so far 6 years old now. It's only grown. We've actually developed a new product called a floor printer, as well as a wall printer, which, just like the name implies, it prints on floors. I developed that product in response to people asking me for personalized parking spaces and putting their artwork or their dog or their family name on a personalized parking space in a garage, in an office building. And so we developed the floor printer to respond to that. But since then, it's been doing everything from printing rugs, printing wood-looking floors over concrete, printing logos for offices and everything else, and then the wall printer. Of course, there's a lot more opportunity with the wall printer, since there's 4 times as many walls in any room as a floor. So pretty much we have, over the past 4 years, we've sold over 160 wall printers. We introduce 1 or 2 of these to the market, bringing somebody an opportunity to create a business around this or add it to their existing business. And we're just very proud of what we've accomplished. We were honored last year. We became the Entrepreneur of the Year. We were awarded that title in North Carolina. The reason that award was given to a company, to any company, it's a 16-year-old award. They call it the Stanley Cup of North Carolina here. And it's given to, it's a surfboard, which is why I say that's called the Stanley Cup of North Carolina, because the winner gets this surfboard with their name engraved, and you hold on to it for a year, then you pass it on to the next year winner. But the reason we were selected at the wall printer was because rather than just being an innovative product and a company that did well, beyond that, we were creating business opportunities for other people. Every time we sell a wall printing machine, that means a new business is being created for somebody, or a new revenue stream comes to a business that maybe has something similar, like a painting company, a muralist, a photographer, a general contractor. These are people that have businesses that this aligns well with. But we have people that are just investing the $35,000 that the machine costs to start a business with 1 or more machines, and they now have a business to deliver wall art into schools, hospitals, restaurants, people's homes, any building, any wall, indoors, outdoors. I'll take a breath, and now you're up to date with where I am today and how I got here.
So just out of curiosity, how did you start recognizing or even finding these companies to bring them over to the United States? Because this sounds like some very innovative ideas. Obviously, they're marketing in the country or their region of the world. So what would you say were some of the determining processes that you put these companies through to see if they would actually be a good fit for the United States, or they might even be a dud?
Well, that's a great question, Kevin. And of course, I'm going to do, as I mentioned, my due diligence, not only who's doing this and is the product a good product, but you have to make sure the company is a substantial company to support your vision. Anybody out there who's doing anything, I don't care whether you're in the restaurant business, you're a plumber, you're a lawyer, you want to make sure that the resources you have to rely on are going to support your vision and your business plan and your customers. So I have a company, and this isn't, like the old saying, oh, I have a guy that does that. Yeah, I've got a company that actually represents me and goes to places if I see something interesting, and they kind of kick the tires. I personally don't like traveling too much. You said early on, this is a nice beach community. If there's a beach, maybe I'll go, but I generally don't do a lot of traveling. And so I have a company that will go anywhere, like they went to Israel, like they went to Russia, like they went to China, to kick the tires of these companies to make sure they're substantial, that it's not somebody working out of their garage. That it's somebody, this company had 100 employees. They had a substantial business that could scale and deliver me 50 printers a month if I wanted that many. It could do that. So that passed that first kind of litmus test of a company that I would do business with. And as far as the market goes, then I have to see a market that actually has some kind of gap. As I said, there are very few ways to put artwork on walls. So this was interesting to me in that regard. But that's basically the 2 elements. If it's a product or a service that fits those type of criteria, now it's just a question of who wants it. And of course, besides the fact that there are very few competitive solutions out there, that German product is still in the market. we've totally blown it out of the water in terms of customers. But at the same time, because our product is being sold at half the price of theirs and has many more features than theirs does not. But that's not really a criticism. They have a quality product and it's good for what it is. But the point of my bringing that up is that they're really our only competitor. It's not like there's 100 hamburger places or 10 hamburger places and coffee shops and plumbers and attorneys and electricians. There's nobody else doing this per se. And I actually welcome the competition because nobody knows what wall printing is. And so we have to get the word out. We do that through social media. That's our marketing technique for me to let people know that this exists. Now, with that said, I wasn't necessarily the smartest kid on the block with great vision when I invested a substantial amount of money in acquiring the rights to this product and, in fact, buying many of them to begin with to learn how to use them and to see exactly what it was that I was so enamored with. And I brought these to the United States in December of 2019. Well, there I am launching my business in January of 2020. The world stops because of COVID. Nobody's traveling. People are working remotely. They're being laid off left and right. And so here I am with a product that nobody's ever seen or heard about before, that nobody's coming to Wilmington, North Carolina to travel to see it. You can't get into those kinds of customers, people's homes and restaurants and schools, which are shutting down, to actually show people what this thing can do. So there I was. And rather than, I always look for, what's the expression? If you have a lemon, make lemonade or something like that. So I said, well, here I am. When everybody was laying people off, I said, listen, I'm all in. I believe in this thing. And that my wife needed to hear that too. So I started hiring people. Everybody's laying people off. I'm hiring first the engineers or the technical support people to learn how to use this machine, what it is that I actually bought. How does it work? Because when it came in, everything was in Chinese. I had to translate all the documentation, all the instructional materials. Besides learning how to use it, I had to be able to teach other people how to use this and develop the training programs for this, for how to use it. And so I hired people to be able to do that, learn it with me, learn a lot more than I did. They're much better than I am at this to date. And we translated everything out of the Chinese into English, Spanish, French, Canadian, Portuguese, all the markets we serve here in the Western Hemisphere. And once we did that and we knew what we had and we had all the training materials in place, now it was time, meanwhile, actually concurrent to that, I hired marketing people to develop a social media strategy to create videos and images to let people know this exists and this is what it does. And it's a pretty cool technology and it can put artwork on walls. And so we did that for about 10 months. All of this was being done, building up my sales team, my technical support team, my training people, my marketing and my sales people. And then about August of 2020, 8 months into it, we sold our first machine. And then things started improving in terms of the climate. And while people, and I took advantage of the fact that people were being laid off, because what turned out to be at the beginning something that was very troublesome to me became the best thing that could have happened to me, because what that meant was people were working at home, they were rethinking their lives. They said, they're being laid off. They don't know they want to go back into the office again. Maybe I want to do something else. Maybe I want to be in business for myself. People were rethinking their lives in that regard, in their professional career paths. And so this was attractive to them as something maybe new and innovative, something that maybe for, again, the price of a car for $35,000, I guess these days that's an inexpensive car, but for the price of $35,000, they could have a tool to get in business. And those types of people started buying it and we started scaling. We also found out that that wasn't our best customer. The best customer was somebody who really treated this as a service business, not just something to be kind of a mom pop or something to do every now and then, because these machines, which have ink in them, they're like race cars. They're meant to be driven. The more you print with them, the better they perform. So we wanted people who were dedicated to this as a full-time business, who would also on their end hire people to run the business, hire people to do their local marketing. We're not a franchise. We don't reach into people's pockets for royalties and revenues. My business is the machines. I make sure they're perfect. People know how to use them. We have the parts. We manufacture our own inks so the machines work properly. And that's what we do, the machines. The business, it's on our customers. They create their brand. They create their marketing strategy. Yes, we'll help them. We'll give them content now that we've developed from hundreds and hundreds of posts and YouTube and TikTok and Facebook and Instagram and Pinterest. We have all the materials they need to introduce it to the local markets, but we're selling the business opportunity, they're selling the service. And as long as they understand that, and they're capable of delivering a quality service and building relationships at the local level, they will be successful too. And this has been proven now with the 120 so printers we've, 120 or so companies we've established for people, with about 160 printing machines out there, because some people have multiple machines.
I really like this idea for Paul is showing his being very innovative. Instead of creating his own company, he found another company that created that would solve a problem. Then he invested into that company, and I would assume he got the rights to be able to sell in the United States. And instead of selling people, franchises, he's selling people the equipment that they can create their own business out of. And then I don't know if this is an additional cost, but to train and or repair these devices if or when they go awry.
Yeah, that's very true. It's also a side benefit has been also that the company itself, the originator, the Chinese company that originally owned this technology and developed the technology, they benefited greatly. I'm their biggest distributor now in the world since I've come on board, and I've done the kind of marketing I've done introducing this. Of course, we all know the world of the internet is not just limited to your backyard. You put something on the internet, people anywhere in the world can see it. And so as a result of that, this has been exposed to many other places. And since I came on board, now we have distributors in Italy, in Germany, in Australia, in France, in Greece. There's Russia. There are distributors of this product everywhere. And we freely exchange because of the internet. We're getting inquiries every day from Bulgaria, from Hungary, from France, from Italy. People who say, hey, that's really cool. I want to learn more about it. We don't step on each other's toes. It's better to service your backyard. I've always believed that. And again, like my originator, the original story I told you, culture is important. So anybody that comes to me from France, I send to the French distributor. Anybody in France who gets somebody from the United States or Canada or South America, they send to me. Even the Spanish distributor, if it's in South America, even though they're Spanish speaking, and they might be on a language level better suited, but on a proximity level, we're better suited to support them in their time zone. So they send those inquiries to us. And it's been a wonderful relationship that's built not only a lot of businesses for those people who have acquired wall printers, but we've also helped, and we've been helped by the companies that embraced it like I did as an innovative solution with a market gap and have built a distribution company locally in their countries. And so it's been a nice ride so far, and I don't see much of an end in sight. My original goal for this company was to build 1,000 new businesses. We're at about 120 with 160 machines out there in the marketplace. So we've got a long ways to go. And most communities are available. We do give exclusive territories for people where we don't sell to anybody else if they raise their hands first. Again, not a franchise, but we want people who are willing to take the risk of an innovative product themselves to be able to grow without interference by us or anybody else. That's also another big difference between us and that German product. Again, this isn't disrespect. This is just a fact. They actually provide the services. They act in competition with their customers. We don't do that. We just sell the machines, just service the machines. We support our customers for them to grow their businesses. We provide no services. We just make sure the machines work for our customers.
Okay, well, and that's very good to learn and understand, because I'm sure there's thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of ideas out there that are being created all over the world, even in America, where say somebody like yourself who's innovative is to think outside the box and say, hey, let me go in and do this as a franchise. Where in your case, you're providing the equipment, teaching them how to use the equipment, and then maybe giving somebody, it sounds like you give people territories that they can work on, so you don't have that competition in that local area. So that's a very innovative way of starting and or maintaining a business.
Well, absolutely, Kevin, and thank you for recognizing that. I've always been a believer that, you don't give a person a fish, you teach them how to fish so that they can eat for the rest of their lives. And this is the kind of situation. It's been a wonderful experience, still is. I do a lot of give back. I mentor at the local university here in North Carolina, in Wilmington, to other entrepreneurs and students and faculty and community, business owners who are looking, they have some pain points in their business, or they're looking to create businesses. It's something that gives me a lot of pleasure. After all, I'm 72 years old. That in itself doesn't give me a lot of pleasure, but the experiences I've gained over the years allows me to hopefully impart some pearls of wisdom or experience. And let me tell you, it hasn't been a total uphill ride for me either. I've had experiences. No experience, especially entrepreneurial, where you are taking risks, is going to be without its peaks and its valleys. You hope the peaks outweigh the valleys, but you should be prepared for that. And if you are truly an entrepreneur, you understand the risks that you're taking, and and again, I like sayings. There's another saying: it's not how many times you fall down, but how many you get up. So you have to be willing to get up if you want to be an entrepreneur, and you're willing to do something innovative, something that you think, as you pointed out, actually solves a problem. If you're not solving a problem, if you don't have a solution to a real problem, you can't go making up a problem and chasing that with developing a solution. The problem has to exist. You have to have the service, solution, technology, whatever it takes to fill the need to solve that problem. Then maybe you've got something good.
And I like the analogy that you use with the peaks and the valleys, and that's going to go into our next question. Is what have you seen has been some of your biggest challenges, and how did you overcome those challenges?
Well, I described one challenge initially, which was that here I was with an innovative product at a time when nobody could actually see it or understand it. That was the first challenge we overcame, and we overcame that, I think, in the right way, with the hindsight now. But the biggest challenge is, of course, with any company, as well as I've had in my experience. I like partnerships, first of all, first and foremost. I prefer controlling ownership in anything I do, but at the same time, that's not necessarily a path to success for any business or person. You have to know who you're working with, not only who your customers are, but sometimes you need a partner, and that partner should fill a gap that maybe you don't have. You have to identify what you're good at and what you're not good at. Me, I think I'm very good at building relationships and identifying customers and vendors and strategic relationships to help a company or product develop and grow. I'm not very good at managing people. Maybe my employees would say otherwise, and I hope that they would. But at the same time, it's not something I really like doing. I don't micromanage. If I do hire somebody, I expect them to do the job. And if somebody asked me once, what's the definition of a good CEO or a good leader? In my opinion, the answer I got, which is the answer I'm going to give now, is a great CEO or leader is somebody who knows to hire the best qualified people for a job, but then is wise enough to back off and just let them do it. That to me is leadership. And again, because I don't really like managing people, I don't like the financial aspects of the business. So these are all places I look for other people to come in and either help by hiring them or help by actually partnering with them. And so those partnering is a very big challenge that most businesses have. And not necessarily does everybody want that. Most people, a lot of people just want to do it themselves and do it. Then the challenges become what I call the 3 T's: time, talent, and treasure. You have to have the time to devote to this idea. Every day I'm talking to students, and like you said, ideas are all around us. And they're all well and good, but you have to have the time to pursue it and to really examine it. And is this really a solution to a problem? Is there really a market gap? Who else is doing it? Do you have something really innovative, or is it really being done? You just haven't discovered it yet. These are all the steps I've gone through. So you have to take the time to do that and have the time to do that. Then you have to have the talent. You have to, if you don't have the talent, just like I just said, you have to either employ it or partner with it or hire it. Well, hire it and employ it, I guess, is the same thing. But if you don't have the talent yourself to actually realize that vision or that idea or dream, you need to find the people who will. And then the final piece of the puzzle is treasure. You have to eat. You have to get to a place with a vehicle. You have a family or don't have a family, but you still have to survive. And you have to have an apartment or a house or pay rent or whatever. So there are all these elements, not outside, excluded, all the elements that a business takes. You might need insurance. You might need a place to rent. You might not be able to do this from your garage or from your home. All these factors have to be considered, and you have to have the financial resources or the credit to borrow those resources to be able to pull this off. So those are all the challenges that I and really anybody getting into business will face: time, talent, and treasure. And if you can fit all those three things into your solution and into your bucket, then maybe you've got a shot. And I say maybe because not every idea turns out to be a good idea. And not everybody who you've hired turns out to be the right person. And the money you spend may not be being spent in the right places. So that's also something that, again, all of those things are things that you have to be able to pivot along the way. If you see one market is not the market and we've done that. We started out thinking, hey, this is a machine that prints signs, prints text, prints artwork. People who are in the printing business will love this. They will love this. They will embrace this. Well, nothing could have been further from the truth. They saw this as something that cannibalized on their customers, even though it was something totally different because it was a machine that actually went to a building and printed on somebody's wall and building. Even though you don't have to do that, you can print on a piece of acrylic or vinyl. You can create banners with this machine. And as a result of that, they saw this as a competitive solution. And also, they have very fancy, very expensive, $75,000, $150,000 flatbed printers are the way most signage companies and printing shops use to create their posters and decals and signs and printing product. And that's photo quality. A wall printer is an inkjet printer. We call it, and we can print at 2880 DPI, something again that separates us from the other product that's out there that only prints at a maximum 600 DPI. You can still get great pictures out of these resolutions, but they're not photo quality like you see on your camera or phone or take with a camera, a good high quality camera. It's designed to be wall art. Yes, you can go up close and scrutinize it, and if it's printed well on a good flat, smooth surface, you might be able to get very similar quality to something that's photo quality. But generally, you have to set expectations that this is wall art. It's ink being sprayed onto a wall. So even though it is going to look real, these are all wall prints behind me. My dog there with Santa Claus and this. What did I just do? Oh, I think I just screwed up my camera.
If you want to, I just plug it back in, and I'll make sure to edit this part out.
Yeah, my apologies.
Yeah, no worries.
Wow, I'm not really sure what I did. I didn't unplug it.
I can see the very top of your wall, and everything else is black and gray.
Yeah, I'm not seeing. Let me just turn the camera off and turn it back on again. I apologize for doing that. That was stupid. I shouldn't have done that. Let's see what happens if I stop the camera. Cannot start build if you start the camera. Oh boy. There we go.
There.
I apologize for that. Hopefully you'll be able to edit all that out. So,
Yeah,
and actually,
I'll just start off with another question then. So Paul,
we turned into right where I left off, which is trying to point out that these are all wall printings. This is where you can start again. These are all wall printings on my wall behind me. There's my dog with Santa Claus. That's printed on paper. This print above me is a picture I took with my phone of friends of mine that we get together every few years, and that's printed on canvas. And most people don't realize it, but this is actually a two-dimensional picture. This is not a frame on this picture, but that's the kind of quality you get with these wall printers, is that it will go ahead and make something look 3D if it was developed or created by a graphic artist in 3D. So that's a picture of a frame around the picture that I took with my phone, and I gave that to my friends as Christmas presents last year. And so that's, again, those are examples of wall printings.
And for those of you who are just listening in, he has a frame of it looks like a group picture inside of a very fancy frame. And we're just notating that the frame itself is actually that does not exist. That's just part of a flat base on canvas where they. But it looks like it is in a frame in of itself. So Paul, as we're about to wrap up here, is there any if somebody wants to work with you, or somebody wants to find out more about the wall printing business, how can they get a hold of you? Do you have a website, a landing page, a calendar scheduler, or how can they get a hold of you?
Well, I always like connecting. Like I said, the hat I wear best and the hat I enjoy the most is connecting with people. And so, while not an advertisement for LinkedIn per se, LinkedIn is a good professional network. I'm on it. You can search for Paul Baron. You'll find me. If you want to connect with me, I'm happy to do that. If you need to talk to me or want to talk to me, I'm always open for this. Yes, we do have a website, thewallprinter.com, with the thewallprinter.com, if somebody wants to learn about what I'm doing now. But again, the whole purpose of this was just kind of a story of the journey. I'm not trying to sell anybody wall printing machines, but if you want to learn more about this, thewallprinter.com will do that. LinkedIn is a way to connect with me, and happy to do that.
Well, it sounds like Paul is very much an innovator. So I would definitely say reach out to him. Follow him on LinkedIn. Go ahead and connect with him there. Again, that's going to be at Paul Baron, Baron, Paul Paul. So that's going to be pretty easy to find. And then, of course, if you want to find him online, go to thewallprinter.com. Now, Paul, before we go, is there any last things or any last tidbits of information that you'd like to give our viewers or our listeners?
No, I appreciate everything that you've asked, and the opportunity to talk with you. I think you're great, Kevin, in terms of the questions you've asked. I think these are the kind of things that people should kind of be aware of. If you've taken away from it some of the elements of my journey that might help somebody along theirs, or warn somebody along theirs, whichever the case may be. But no, I appreciate this very much so. I'll tell you what, if anybody actually does want to be in this business of wall printing, and they contact us and they tell us that they saw us or heard me on Kevin Dunlap's show, I'm more than happy to give them free shipping with their order. And that's a $1,000 savings, because this is a 440-pound crate that's going to be delivered to you if you want one of these machines. But I'm happy to do that if somebody mentions your name.
So there you go. So if you decide that you want to reach out to Paul, go ahead and reach out to Paul. And if you do decide to order a wall printer, he will throw in the shipping for free. So therefore, that'll be over more than $1,000 in savings for this 400+ pound device being shipped to hopefully to your business, not to your home. That way you can start building your business around wall printing. So, Paul, I do want to say thank you for being on the show today. And again, thank you for being on the show. And for those of you out there who are looking to be more innovative, reach out to Paul. He's an innovator himself. And guys, until next time, be amazing.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thanks for tuning in to another empowering episode of Business Amplified with Kevin A. Dunlap.
If you found value in today's insights, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and share the podcast.
Keep amplifying your business. And remember, your success journey is our inspiration.
Until next time on Business Amplified, go out there and make your business thrive.